everyone, welcome to my JavaScript full course. Whether you're new to coding or looking to brush up your existing skills, this course is for you. My name is Dylan and I'm going to be walking you through everything step by step. By the end of this video, we'll be covering topics such as variables, data types, and how to use the function console.log to see your code in action. So without further ado, let's hop off my screen and get started with our first lines of JavaScript. To get started, we're going to use a super simple website called playcode.io. So let's go ahead and type that in. It's www.playcode.io. The great thing about this website is you don't even need to install anything. Just go to your browser and type in www.playcode.io. When it loads, click Start Coding here. You can see there's pre-existing templates if you want to use one of those, but for this learning example, we're going to go ahead and use the empty. So you can see we have a top section here, which is where we're actually going to write our code in the file script.js. And then we also have the console down here. So these are going to be the two main sections that we're going to be working with. But before we get started with this, let's answer the question, what exactly is JavaScript? JavaScript is a programming language that lets us make interactive websites. You can use it to build games, control buttons, load data, or even build full-on websites and apps. Okay, now that we've covered that, let's start with variables. You can think of a variable as like a little box where you can store information. You give the box a name and you put something inside, like a number, text, or even a true or false value. In JavaScript, we usually create a variable using the word let. So let's go ahead and try this. So we'll say let, and then for our first variable, why don't we set it to my name? So we're also going to put an equals mark, and you can put your name in here, and I'm going to put mine in this case. We'll say let my name equals Dylan. Alright, so here we're saying let there be a box called my name, and let's store the word Dylan inside of it. So by using this let keyword, we're telling JavaScript that we're making a variable. Alright, so now how do we see what exactly is going on? So by using the function console.log, we can see what is going on in the background. So if we put in here my name, you can see it shows Dylan in the console. So when you run the code console.log and then put your variable inside there, it'll show you what's in the console. This is how we can test and see what our code is doing. So now that we've covered variables, let's move on to data types. There's three main data types in JavaScript. The first one is called a string. That's just text. It's anything that you write inside of quotes. So for this example, we wrote Dylan inside the quotes. So that's a string. It can also be a number, type 1, 2, 3, and that's a string because it's within quotes. You can also put true, you can put hello world, so it's going to be anything that's inside of quotes. That's how we know it's a string. The next kind of data type that we're going to talk about is a number. Numbers don't need quotes, so it's going to be just a normal number. So let's go ahead and set let. Maybe we'll do price equals $8.99. Do console.log. So there you can see $8.99. Or it can just be a whole number. A number can be either a float, an integer, or a whole number. So we'll do 650 or just 7. Alright, so now that we've covered that, we'll move on to our last kind of data type, and that is a Boolean. Booleans are simple, true or false values. So let's say let is student equals true, but this time we're not going to put quotes around it. Let's say let is tired equal to false. Now when we do our console.log, we can put is student, see we get true, or if we put is tired, we get false. What happens when we put a variable in our console log that doesn't exist? So what if we put console.log year. You can see we get an error here because we've not defined what year is. You can't call upon a variable if it doesn't exist. It'll always throw an error. Now I mentioned before when we talked about variables that we commonly use the word let here to assign a variable. There are a few other ways to assign variables. One of those is constant. This is going to be for variables that don't change. So, for example, if we know the price of something is always going to be $8.99, if we do console.log, you can see here it acts the same way. But the important thing to always remember with constant is that it's only for variables that don't change. If you use let, you can say let message equal hello world, and then we can say message equals how are you. So you can see here by using let we're able to reassign what that value is just by calling it again here and assigning it a new value. That's what makes up the difference between constant and let. But for right now, let's just stick with let. It's going to be the most common and beginner-friendly variable to work with. Alright, so let's try putting it all together now. So let's make a variable for all three different kinds that we talked about so far. We have let name equals Dylan or your name. We do let age equal 30. And we have let is happy equals true. So there's an example of all three different data types. We have name, which is a string. We have age, which is a number. And lastly, we have is happy, which is a Boolean, which is a true or false. Awesome. So you just learned what JavaScript is. You now know how to use let to make variables. We also covered the three main data types, strings, numbers, and booleans. And you also learned how to print your results and see what your code is doing by using console.log. In the next video, we'll learn how to actually use these values with math, logic, and user input. If this video helped, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment if you got stuck or have a question. I'm Dylan the Data Guy, and thanks for learning with me, and I'll see you in part 2.